Chafing Armor Podcast, episode 95, The Hustle and the Muscle. Welcome back to the Chafing Armor Podcast. I'm your host and irascible Dungeon Master, Michael Corley, and with me tonight is Lee. Lee, what sort of character are you playing? Because we still have not found out what your character's name is.
I am playing a mysterious one.
Mm-hmm. That's more than enough. And also with us is Izzy. Izzy, tell us who you will be playing.
My name is Izzy. I am playing Morezi Mugrav, the half-orc barbarian, who is very large and very uncouth.
Very large and very uncouth, and that's going to come in relevance in just a moment. When we last left the characters, a whole lot had happened, not least of which was the passing of long-standing character Osokai, who has passed on. Taking up the mantle in this party is Lee's new character. And we are still in Zental Keep, but we are actually just outside of Zental Keep. The sun is just beginning to set, and if our listeners were viewing the scenery of this slightly chilly pine trees off to the north, they would hear the sound of a carriage. The sound of a carriage, horses pulling it, and the rocking and creaking of the carriage. And inside, the just droning, banal conversation of Wraithal, the incredibly racist mayor of Zental Keep. And he is talking to a beautiful young human woman. And he is saying, "Now, my dear, what did you say your name was again?"
Yes, my name is, Lady Bottomsworth the Seventh.
Lady Bottomsworth the Seventh. Well, when I had heard you had come off the ship from the little river, I was absolutely delighted. I wanted to invite you to see the true beauty of the keep inside. I must warn you that there are some unfortunate creatures outside. You may find a drow, or even one of those half-orcs. Can you even imagine?
I can imagine.
Yes. As he is going on and on, we can see this beautiful young woman is, in fact, the half-orc barbarian who has had a disguise person spell put on her. For logistical purposes, this spell is entirely visual. In other words, if they were to touch you, they would feel your scale armor underneath, or your halberd that you're holding at your side that is invisible as long as it is close to you. Underneath the carriage is Lee's character, the Kinku, dark as darkness. Describe very briefly to everyone what this character looks like.
He has a cloak over his head, for the most part. He is essentially a raven or a crow. I'm going to go with crow more than anything else. However, instead of wings, he has arms due to the curse upon his race.
Mm-hmm. And if you could give me one quick check to hold on to the bottom of this carriage. This is the sort of thing that you do very, very well.
Mm-hmm. Just a straight... Ooh, that's a 17 on the die.
17 on the die. So you, this isn't, you would already kind of, when Lady Bottomworth was distracting Wraithal, you had clambered underneath and secured yourself well, but you just hit a ka-dung, pothole, and you had to hold on for a second. And I just wanted to see what would happen, but you managed to hold on. And does any sound come out of you when that happens?
No.
No, you're a master thief, and you're far too professional for that. Even if you want to repeat back a Yes, a expletive or two. You actually come through the gates. The guards open the main gates to Zental Keep. There is a smaller gate that allows like single people through that is kept open and well guarded, but the main gate is actually open to allow this carriage through, as your group has already left Zental Keep because y'all wanted nothing to do with this town. As you make your way through the keep, you Lee, your character recognizes several of these streets as you have spent some time here casing out, doing some various thieving jobs and working a few things, already thinking of going to other places. But you're now heading to the main tower of the keep. And you're coming up, and the carriage is slowing down, and a footman is coming forward, and he has opened the door, and he is holding out his hand to you, Lady Bottomworth. And if he touches your hand, there is a chance that he will notice that there is something untoward with this illusion. What are you going to do?
I'm going to use both of my hands to sort of, not quite roll it up, but grab a hold of my, of what appears to be my massive skirts, in order to keep my hands occupied.
Okay, very good. You gather up your illusionary skirts and make your way down the short few steps down the corner of your eye, seeing the dark shadow that is just, completely hidden underneath. But part of you being here is you're going to have to create some kind of distraction. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for Lee's character to get out from underneath the carriage.
My goodness me! What was the dude's name again?
Wraithal.
Wraithal, I am so parched. I do believe that we should be absconding to the what is it, a drawing room, and having an elixir. Let's make haste.
I love the idea that these are just jumbles, little like Mad Lib words that Morezi has picked up over the years, and she doesn't really know like what a drawing room is. But she's just throwing them out there, just kind of word soup. Give me a deception check if you don't mind.
Like a bluff check? Yes.
I'm sorry, bluff check. I'm thinking of the wrong thing once again. Yes, a bluff check.
4.
A 4. He kind of cocks his head a little bit. Now, at this moment, Lee, you actually realize that she might be in trouble. So you can either do something that might in some way aid her, or you can use this moment to try and stealth into the shadows by using a stealth check.
I will. Okay, so what I might do is I will drop to the ground and roll away into the bushes on the opposite side of the carriage. Bushes / shadows, whatever. At the same time, kind of kicking up, if I can find a stone underneath the carriage, kicking that up to hit the horses, hopefully making them a little agitated and kind of distracting the situation.
Okay.
So
I love it. So I first need the stealth check, or I'm sorry, this. What is the correct one?
Hide?
3.5.
Hide.
Hide, yes, I think would be the best one in this. A hide roll, and then I'm just going to need a thrown roll, just like you would throw a ranged weapon.
Yep.
But I won't give you a minus because a stone is a stone.
So I have a 14 to my hide, and I just rolled a 20. So,
so even you, Morezi, who are expecting this, you're just like, how did that make no sound? Because he just like like just this silent roll, and like he bends his elbows in such a way that he's breaking the impact of each part of the roll, that it just makes no sound. It's just there's just this very slight swoosh of fabric that you only notice because you're aware of it, and then there's the throwing roll.
The little toss of the roll. So that's a 16 on the die to throw.
Okay.
Plus my strength, so 18.
18. And I apologize. Is that not dexterity for a thrown?
You are correct. If that's the case, then it's a +5. So
yeah, I was gonna say it's even better for you, I would imagine.
23.
23. Yep. So you just kind of
I know how to count.
You just kind of pop one of the lead horses on the rump, and it just and it kind of pops, and the driver is like trying to maintain them. He doesn't know what has happened. He doesn't understand why they're agitated. It causes everyone to turn for a second, and it also successfully distracts Wraithal from basically everything that you said, Merezi, was just kind of made up stuff. So it didn't really make sense. So it was giving him if he had kept down that line, he might have gone, wait, there's just something wrong here. But this all like, whoa, I'm so sorry. Normally they're much better trained than that. Well, yes. Please, won't you follow me, my dear?
Of course.
Love it already. It's so good.
And you're trying your very best for your armor and everything not to ching as you walk, but there, it just shows how blind he is to the world, that he only sees what he wants to, and he sees a beautiful young human woman, and he ignores everything else. Even though there's this just random ching, ching, as you walk.
Who knows? One of the buckles on her bustle may be a little loose.
Yes,
he's a gentleman and won't call attention to it.
Exactly. You are led into, and a large door opens to the main entrance to the. It's basically where he lives, but it's also kind of a place of power. It's they would have like sort of like council meetings and stuff in the lower floors, and also some small targeted banquets would be in the lower floors, and he is taking you up to some slightly higher floors where the drawing room actually is. So I ask you, Lee, what would you like to do? Are you going to try to follow them stealthily here, or are you going to try to sneak in another way?
It's probably best to sneak in another way.
Yes.
Probably higher up. To possibly the second floor, if I can see any windows or any possibilities for ingress higher up.
Okay. So on the third floor, you can see an open window. And so if you want to try that, you certainly can.
I will definitely give that a shot.
Okay. You need to give me a climb roll, and I would also like another hide roll as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, move silently. Move silently would be more appropriate.
Okay, so I'll give you the move silently, which is a 17.
Perfect.
And the climb roll, I have literally specced into being a B&E thief. That gives me a climb of also 17.
Also 17. Okay. So as you see the doors boom, even as it closes, you actually time that because you know that the first latch on that you need to do on the wall is going to make the most noise as you're finding your footing, and there's like a little tink as you're. Would you imagine you have climbing claws, or do you? Are you...
I would have talons. They would.
Yes,
be my
or
feet.
I was going to say, or you're just going to straight up use your talons.
Yeah, it would be talons.
Okay, yeah. So there's that slight tink, but it's hidden by the closing of the door as you scale up this wall, feeling for the little decaying areas and testing it each time to make sure, because every once in a while you put your finger and the mortar has grown old and like crumbles, but you're being very, very careful, and you've done this many times before. As you said, this is what your character does best.
This is my job.
Yes, and when you make your way to the third floor, I'm doing this purely out of simplicity. It happens to be The same one that Merezi is being led into. You see Wraithal, there are two sort of, they are guards, but they're kind of more like almost porters, but they are lightly armed, standing at the door. And one of them is pouring drinks for both of them. And they are handing a drink to you, Merezi.
I grab it sort of roughly and swig very deeply, and then stop myself and kind of like give a sheepish smile and do a little ladylike sip with trying very hard to poke out my pinky.
Okay. Yep. And I would like you, Lee, to give me a spot check.
Okay, not one of my best. But it doesn't matter. 16.
16. Okay. So you have just, you've learned to constantly be on the lookout for something wrong. And that's why I'm giving you this role. You can see that there is something wrong with the carpet in this room. Or I'm sorry, I should say a rug in this room. It's circular, and it covers a good portion, but not all, of the center of the room. And there is something unnatural about it. Just something that sets your little sense off, that like if you were breaking into this room, you wouldn't step on that rug unless you had to. But with a 16, you also don't quite know what it is. So just letting you know that. By the way, both Wraithal and Merezi are standing on the rug at this moment. Wraithal is closer to the corner, and Merezi is a little closer to the center, because she has kind of come into the room, and he stepped over to pour. And when he sees you kind of down it and then start sipping, he goes, "Aha! A woman after my own heart!" And he takes your drink and refills it and hands it back to you.
Thank you.
Can I take some time to study this rug? See if I can get a better feel for what I'm potentially dealing with. I mean,
so
I'm outside the window. It's not
Mm-hmm.
really much else I can do at this point with them in the room. So,
yes, I will let you do that. I will normally, when I have you do a skill twice, I added disadvantages to it, but this time you are actually taking more time to do it and to do it properly as opposed to a glance. So I'm not going to take any penalties. So just roll for another spot check.
Much better. That's a 21.
Okay. So you see now that it is like a rug, like it has a rug fabric, but you can see now that the edges just very faintly seem to be hemmed in with metal. So imagine like a giant metal disc. And the rug is within that, and using that keen vision that you have for spotting those little mechanisms and those tiny traps, you actually see a small metal band coming out from the rug, and it's kind of disguised, you can see, to look a little bit like some of the other patterns in the room. But the other ones are like made of wood, and this one is actually metal, and it extends up to the area where the drinks are.
It's a trigger of some kind.
It seems very, very likely. And so he turns back to you, Wraithal turns back to you, Merezi, and he says, "So, I understand that you wanted to discuss with me an allegiance with some of the families in Mascate. I have, of course, had some dealings with this gentleman you mentioned. It's Loft, isn't it? The gentleman who's the shipwright."
Indeed, he owns many nice ships.
So I was rather of the understanding that he had fallen on hard times recently, that he had been, well, I don't know how else to put it, disgraced.
It was actually the work of a certain shifter. It's It was a dealing that was done by uncouth creatures in order to put a bad spot on his good human name.
Yes, well, there is so many times where the poor human is just trying to do his very best, and these terrifying creatures with their dark powers come and misalign them. Ugh. And, of course, I know all of the filth and vermin that cross through that dirty port of Masgate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining the expression on Morezi's face.
She's trying very desperately to keep a blank face, and slight grinding of teeth every so often.
Yes, the sound of her tusk somehow grinding together, and one eye twitching slightly. And he says, well, I think that we can do some business together. There's a great deal of opportunity coming up in Zentil Keep, and I think that you are going to love it. And at that moment, Lee, you see this happen. You see him very deliberately take a step backwards and step off the rug. And you see him reach back with one hand without actually looking at where he's going.
Can I get a sense of what he's reaching for?
It seems like he's reaching for a tall, dark vintage, slightly taller than the rest of the drinks that are on the drink tray.
Does Morezi see this?
You can make a spot check.
Yes.
Well, and actually, that's different. That's slightly different, but yes, you can make a spot check. And Morezi, I would like you to make it at advantage for a very particular reason. You roll twice.
4 and 15.
15 total? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you have a little something called Danger Sense, which is your Spidey sense. Mm-hmm. And it really works towards attacks, but what it means is that you can't actually be caught by surprise. And
Indeed.
He doesn't know that. And suddenly, your danger sense, you think of all of those hours and hours that you spent in the arena with your mother, teaching you how to be a barbarian and honing your danger scent. And suddenly, it just screams at you. Danger.
Ooh,
and I think the easiest thing to do right now would be to roll for initiative.
Ooh.
Sorry, would be what?
15. Oh wait, I have modifiers. Yes.
Hold on.
17.
17. And Lee?
Hold on, my Discord and my entire computer just decided to go nuts.
Oh dear.
Lovely.
That's a flat 20. Not natural, but yeah.
Okay. So you actually go first, Lee.
So he's reaching for... I'm going to assume that's a lever. And he pulls and opens a trapdoor or something. Is there any light falling near me? I realize I'm hoping I'm relatively hidden. I'm just looking for some light. Specifically, so I want to, if there is any light, I would like to take my mirror and flash some light into his eyes as a way to so he has to kind of throw his hands up to prevent from being blinded, giving Lady Bottomsworth enough time to step back and, get to safety.
So I can't say that there is light bright enough to blind him because, as I said, the sun was going down, so there really isn't like a lot of it's basically dusk right now. There is torchlight in the room. The best you could do would be to distract him with unexpected light by shining your mirror in his eyes. If he suddenly sees torchlight, coming out of the window, Like it might make him turn or stop or do something.
Yeah. Well, we'll
but
give that a shot.
okay. Go ahead and roll for that. That would be.
I'll do it. I'll try and do it in a way that, like, if he turns to it, he's still not going to be able to see me. So I'll do a quick hide check, which gives me a 28.
Okay.
And a dexterity.
This is pretty much a straight dexterity roll.
Yep. Okay, that's a non-natural 20 to use the mirror and reflect into his face.
Okay. So he was looking right at you, Morezi, and then his hand is reaching, and then he turns, and you're concerned, Morezi, in addition to the sudden screaming in your guts, that you see a light coming from where you suspect that Lee's character is. But and he turns towards, like, wait, what is going on? You know, he just kind of makes those little type noises, and it is your turn, Morezi.
Ooh, I do believe that I need to go powder my nose. You know how it goes, the nose powdering. So I'm going to roll bluff. I don't know why I try. I rolled a 9.
Well, that's exactly why I put you in the spot, because these are all the things Morezi is bad at, and it's very funny. You're like, I need to, you know, when the nose, how you powder the nose, that's a thing, right? That's a thing ladies do, right? And he's that almost distracts him more than you, Lee. That he's just like, what is coming out of her mouth?
Where's the nose powdering room?
And he, as you had suspected, Lee, pulls the top drink forward, and you hear a sound. You, Lee, are expecting, like, the floor to drop out. But then you also think in your head, like, wait a second, we're on the 3rd floor. Like, that doesn't really make sense. If she fell, she would just fall to the 2nd floor. And then all of the carpet begins to glow, and Morezi begins to fade away.
Oh shit, I've been Thanos! I don't feel so good.
It is your turn, Lee.
Oh, that distraction. Oh, Lady Bottomsworth. She just, like, moved, but okay. There's really not much else I can do without breaking my cover. Unless... Oh. The sound of terrified horses. I will throw my voice. And make the sound of terrified horses coming from below or outside where the normal horses, where the carriage was.
Okay. Well, that's not hard to do because you are literally outside.
And a mimic.
So, yes, and also that.
A bluff check. Also one of my best. 29.
29. So he's like, oh! And he points to the two men who have watching all of this happen, and they're just watching him passively. He goes, quickly, go and see to the horses. Something is going on. Something's amiss. I knew something was going on downstairs, and I couldn't tell what. And he starts to run towards the window to look out.
Okay.
Because this window faces out to the front place where you climbed up.
I will flatten myself against the window until he gets close to said window. I want to knock this boy out.
You can certainly try. I will allow you a surprise. Well, let me give me one more hide check, and I'm going to do an opposed perception check with him.
Okay. 33.
And by the way, every roll I have made today as the dungeon master have been, not one has been above 10. Like hilariously low, like 3, 4. This one was a 9. So even with his perception, like it's just funny. And he basically he sticks his head out, and he's not looking for you. He's looking at the courtyard,
Mhm.
and he sees the horses. Just they're just starting to be unhooked from their harnesses, but obviously they're not crying out in terror. And he's like, "What's going on out there?" And
And
you
I
absolutely can
will.
take a attack now.
Yeah, I am going to sock him in the temple.
Okay. So I make a roll for that.
Ooh, nat 20.
Nat 20. So you do have to know that knocking people unconscious in D&D, it is not necessarily just, well, I rolled real good so they're unconscious.
Yep.
But you're basically doing non-lethal damage to
Mhm.
them. But you also rolled a natural 20, so roll that damage.
Okay. Jeez. So that's an 8 doubled 16.
Okay. So for simplicity purposes, you do not knock him out, but you knock him senseless. But you have the is it like the back of your pommel or of your knife?
Yes.
I mean, what are you hitting him with? Yeah. So you
it'll
have
be
your
the pommel. And I'll do it again. I'll do it again.
okay.
Oh,
that's right. You do have 2 attacks, don't you?
well, if he's senseless, he loses his turn, so
Yes.
I get to go again anyway. I don't have a second attack, no.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
That's a 17.
17. Okay, and so you hit him and roll for damage.
That is 8.
8. Okay. Yeah. You basically needed to get 25, and that was what you got. So you, boom, hit him on the head, and then he kind of stumbles a second, and he starts to look up at you, and like you catch him like right between the eyes with the pommel. Like, yeah, the first one hits him on the back of the head, and he kind of dazed, turns up, and whoa, boom, and then he is just senseless. And slumps to the ground. He was only sticking his head out a little bit, so even if he collapsed, he wouldn't have fallen out.
I will quickly dash in and hit the lever back to where it's supposed to be before heading back and trussing him up with a curtain cord.
And just to be clear, Morezi is gone. She is gone.
Well, I don't want to walk through that.
Sure. Well, like I said, the rug does not extend to the ends of the room, so you can very easily not step on it. There's several feet on each side. So you truss him up, and Morezi is gone. Is there anything you'd like to do before waking him up? Also, you only have however long it's going to take those 2 guys to get down, realize nothing's wrong, and then come back up. Yeah. So you've got maybe a minute.
Is there
maybe 2?
Anything? Are there any long-handled weapons on the wall? Actually, which way do the doors open in this room? Do they come into the room or out of the room?
They come into the room.
Okay,
they swing in.
Are there any long-handled weapons on the wall, like halberds? Or
no, I am sorry. They would swing out. I apologize. They would swing out.
Well, that's why I'm asking for long. If it was short, then this wouldn't work. But if they're long,
yeah, there really isn't. There isn't like ceremonial weapons on the wall or anything. This is just a reception room.
All right. Well, let's. You know what? I'm going to turn it back on, and then I'm going to bring him out the window.
So you're going to turn the device back on?
Yep, and then I'm going to bring my boy. Or our boy back out the window. Carrying him out
now,
if
you do that completely, that means you have to support him. Mm-hmm. There is a tiny ledge on the window, but if you're going to have it where people can't see him, that means you're literally holding him on the side of the place, which you can do. I'm just saying that's a little more dicey.
Okay, what if I use the remains of the curtain sash to hang him out the window?
Yeah, you could do that.
the idea being that they'll come back and perhaps he forgot he turned his machine on and wandered into it in a panic. I don't know if that's a thing they would think he would do, but it's the best I got. So I will heave him out the window and lock his sash in. 19 on the die to try that.
Okay. You absolutely. There's in a very Batman-like way. You cinch it and then throw him out, and he kind of smacks into the side of the wall as he swings out. Taking a few more points of hit point damage. But he's completely unconscious at this time. And will from experience he likely will be for a while unless something is done to revive him.
Yep. And then I'm going to quickly run to his desk and sweep all the contents off the desk to the opposite side of the room for the windows, towards the light, to the rug. And
are you going to throw them into the rug?
No, to the so diagonally away from the rug. So some of them will go into it, which is the plan, but the rest will fall outside the rug.
Okay.
In the hope that kind of like a disturbance that someone kind of came in.
So we're going to get to you in just a second, Marezi, but you find yourself suddenly in a dark, dank cavern dungeon like place, and you're at the ready. You pull out your halberd, and then a few seconds later a candlestick hits you on the head.
Oh, boom! Fun.
Because as he's scattering the things, one of them falls in and just boom hits you on the head for 1 point of damage.
Huzzah.
Yes, just we'll get back to you in just a second, I promise. And so you do all of that, and you can hear the footsteps coming up the stairs towards this room now.
And so I will follow my trussed up pinata out the window, and just hang on to the side there and see what happens.
Okay. They burst in and they say, Mayor, what do you don't think he's, I don't know, he's, I wouldn't surprise me. He's sitting there talking to it. I don't know. Maybe, but you turn it off. I don't know. I'm scared to death of that thing. No, you turn it off. And finally, they kind of smack each other a little bit, and then one of them goes over, and you can see he's just ridiculously scared of the rug. And he's just like doing like this, like as if he was mountain climbing and he's on the edge of a ledge as he's just scooching along the edge of the wall, even though he clearly could just walk. Yeah. He's clearly like so scared of getting an arm in there. And then he finally gets and he moves the thing back and it goes down. And they look around and they're like, what even happened? Maybe she struggled. Maybe that's probably what happened. They probably fought a little bit and then he got sucked in there. Wait, what do we do? I don't want to go down there. Do you want to go down there? No, I don't want to go down there. No one ever comes back from down there. That's why they have this. He's like, oh, well, we've got to do something. They're arguing with each other vigorously about who has to, quote unquote, go down there.
Okay. So I'm going to assume that it is I'm going to assume it's a weird teleporter kind of thing to a dungeon. Makes sense if they're talking about going down there in the dark, waiting to come out. I will try and listen further, I guess, while keeping an eye on my pinata.
Okay. You keep listening, and they finally they do the medieval version of rock, paper, scissors, which is rock, parchment, daggers, and 1, 2, 3, dang. Okay. 1, 2, 3, dang. 1, 2, 3. Ah! 2 out of 3. No, you go down. And you see him.
Love it.
One of them pulls out a black iron key. And you just see this look on his face, like, ugh. And he starts to, he leaves the room, and he's heading out.
Okay. What does the other one do at this
He makes himself a drink and he starts drinking it because no one's there to stop him.
I will listen just a little bit longer because guards like to talk to themselves. He may not, but it could be. I could get a little bit more information.
You do hear him muttering to himself, like, "It ain't worth it. This is all a bunch of bull crap. I can't believe we're still bringing back a stupid god has been thrown down. He's a dead god, for goodness sakes." And you do hear the name Bane mentioned. You're not sure if that's the god or a person or a priest. It's kind of hard to tell in the context that he's talking, but you do hear the name Bane mentioned in his mutterings.
He was
and
born
now
to
you're
the darkness.
And then you're starting to hear groans coming from
Wraithhole,
next to you. Yes.
Okay. I will quickly stuff. I'll quickly stuff most of the remains of his shirt into his mouth. And you know what? I'm going to mount him, I guess. Sit astride his chest and cut the curtain sash. And I'm going to ride him to the ground. It should not kill him. It will knock the wind out of him. It might kill him. I mean, no loss there.
You are on the 3rd floor, so he will take 3d6 damage if he falls from the 3rd floor.
It'd be no great loss.
Oh no! I'm not defending him at all. I'm just letting you know logistically what will happen.
Can
and
you
you
use
will
the curtain to kind of lower him a story or so?
Well, the curtain sash wouldn't be that long.
Yeah, especially with it's already mostly being used to wrap him up, to tie him so he doesn't fall.
Are the horses? No, I was going to say, have the horses been removed from the carriages now?
I actually would say they have now. There was stable people who have come up to. That's their job, is to take them off and lead them off to the stables to brush them down and everything.
Is there anybody around, like a stable boy or something close by?
There's definitely the 2 guards that are standing outside the main entrance.
I don't want those guys.
Yeah, and they're not super far away. And they're a little on alert because what happened was these 2 guys came running outside, and you saw this, out of the corner of your eye. They came running outside to find out what was going on with the horses. They saw there was nothing wrong with the horses. Then they ran back inside.
Yeah.
And so they're a little on alert for anything that's going on.
Okay. I'm just wondering if there's any way I can. Oh no! I have an idea. I'm going to take my bedroll and attach it to his back.
Okay.
And then we will drop. Hoping it will cushion some of the fall. It won't be a lot, but it might be enough. If he dies, he dies, but I'm going to try my best to... Because I would like some information from him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There really isn't one particular role that fits what you're doing. So again, just give me a straight dexterity roll for this overall maneuver that you're doing, and that will determine the outcome.
Nice. So that's a 22.
22. Okay. So you kind of behind him, like you're about to give him a smooch. You're up close to him, and then you reach up with your dagger, and suddenly you are in free fall. Now, there is at least where you're falling is not concrete or stone. It is ground, which is a little bit better, but it is still a fall. Yep. And so what I will say is I will, for the purpose of simplicity, I will take
tumble when I hit the ground, but I'm more concerned about what he will take.
Gotcha. Well, I give you the option. You can reduce the damage he will take by half, but that means that you have to also take that damage because you can't tumble. You need to be there to steady him as he falls to try to help him take the least damage.
No,
or you can tumble away.
I'm going to take the tumble.
Okay. So I will reduce the damage that he takes somewhat. The total damage that you both take is 7, 8. So it's 9 points of damage. So if you successfully tumble, you'll take half.
Okay. My tumble is 23. So.
Okay. So you do take half, rounding up. So that is 5. And so he does get a -3 because of your actions. So he ends up pretty similar, actually, in that he takes 6 points of damage. And unsurprisingly, that also wakes him up. In fact, what I like to think is that he starts to come to consciousness, and he looks up, and he just sees this crazy bird face looking him right in the face as he's falling, and then half a second later, kadoom, right into the ground, and the bedroll, exactly as you intended, keeps his skull from cracking on the ground, but he still just whams into the ground as you roll off of him, and he does have his mouth stuffed, so he cannot actually scream or articulate, but he does start, of course, sticking noises as he's going, and he's trying to free himself, and he rolls a 5. So he cannot actually free himself in the shock. He's still tangled up in all of this.
Straddle his body again and pulling out a blade, holding it underhanded to the back of his neck. So instead of the way you'd normally hold a knife, the way you would hold a dagger instead, the way Jason holds a knife.
Mm-hmm.
So in the fist with the blade pointing down, just holding it to his throat and putting a finger up to my beak.
Okay.
This would be intimidate, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would definitely be an intimidate.
17.
17. By the way, I did roll for the guards. They rolled a 3 for noticing anything. So whatever. Just that's how it's going with me tonight. And so he falls silent, and he is terrified, and you see him just kind of going, like trying to say something, but scared to move or speak.
All right. I'm going to drag him to the... I'll drag him away to the side. I'm going to drag him somewhere where I feel like it's going to be easier to interrogate him about where Lady Bottomsworth has gone.
Okay. And before we do that, let's get to Lady Bottomsworth.
Yes.
Izzy, Morezi does still absolutely look like Lady Bottomsworth, by the way, just for the visual effect. You are in a somewhat circular room. You realize the dimensions of this room are very similar to the one you were in before. In that it seems to be a relative representation of the room you were in. And there is a etching all around the area that seems to be roughly the same as the rug. But it is actually etched into the stone floor. You realize that this is a cavern that has been somewhat widened, by the work of possibly dwarves, you think. Or at least this is good work that what you associate with dwarven work.
I see. I'm going to do a search check of the area to see if I can notice any kind of door, entryway, anything that can help my current trapped situation.
Okay.
Nat 20.
Natural 20. So your character is not a thief, but your character has a profession. Tell the listener what your profession is among the McGraw clan.
Well, Morezi was trained, as well as all orcs are trained as warriors. Morezi also partook in learning the ability to make traps.
Okay. So this room, much like the room you were in, has a single exit. There really is very little in this room. You see some kind of extra little etchings that you hate all of the magic mumbo jumbo, but you suspect is related to whatever teleported you down here. Kind of helping with that channeling is what you just kind of like, probably. There does seem to be a dim light coming. You have low light vision, not dark vision. But there is some ambient light, and so you can see perfectly fine, though black and white. As you start to make your way out, you actually catch that there is a chain just threaded across the floor, and it actually goes directly into the hewn rock. So, like, directly into the wall, which is effortful. That would require some skilled labor. And the chain has been painted a dull black, so it is almost invisible in this room. But you caught it.
See.
And also, one, because of that really good spot check, but also because of your trap making, that you recognize the signs of a trap. That it is a very simple trap. After you kind of examine it, you first, of course, stop. You see your foot, that dainty, slippered-looking foot, stop just short there, and then you peer down, and what you see is if you tripped over that, as you tripped, spikes would come up for the floor to meet your face.
Ooh.
But you
Tasty.
have successfully found that trap. And of course, the way to avoid it is the simplest of all, which is to not touch the chain.
I see.
But yes, you that is what would have happened if you had failed that spot check.
I see. Okay, so there's a chain in this room.
The chain is there's one exit to this roughly circular room, and that one exit has the chain. So you would imagine somebody who's not really paying attention, especially somebody who doesn't have low light vision like you, going like, "Oh, I can see the exit," and just rushing over there, trip, fall.
Okay, I can just step over that?
You absolutely can.
All right. Haha, these humans are so human-centric that they don't remember low-light vision.
You suspect that is absolutely true. They didn't expect anyone who wasn't human to be sent down here, because they wouldn't have brought anyone up there who wasn't human.
Human racists.
Now, let's cut back to your interrogation, Ali. What would you like to do?
Okay. I most of this is going to be kind of physical because it's going to be otherwise really, really difficult to piece together conversation pieces that are going to get my point across. So I will simply get his attention. So he's looking me in my beady little bird eyes, as much as he doesn't want to. And I will point at him. I will once again make the shush motion with my fingers. I will hold up the blade and I will put it to his neck, and then I will pull out the gag.
Okay. He does not scream or make any other sound like that.
Where is she? In the voice of a panicked parent.
Okay. He goes, she's been sent below. She's been sent below. She's a sacrifice.
Duh!
Merezi suddenly gets a chill for some reason.
To what god? In the voice of a cleric.
Mm-hmm. You
Ticks, maybe.
piece together. Yeah, probably Ticks.
If he's probably said that. So at some point.
When he asked you earlier what gods if you follow any gods. And he says, there was once a god known as Bane, a powerful god who has been slain, but it is possible to resurrect him if there are enough sacrifices to him. He is nearly resurrected. Once the people of Zintelkeep worshipped him, and if he was risen again, I would be his head prophet.
I'm going to assume he's heard Morezi's voice before. Okay. I will... Pushing the blade a little further in to draw just the tiniest amount of blood. in the voice of a what appears to be a child stuck on a roof. How do I get down?
Perfect. From a child you saw long ago that you've put away, and he says, "Well, you can trigger the mechanism upstairs, or there is an entrance in the basement that requires a special key, which I have. It's right here." And he realizes he can't move his hands, but he kind of gestures to his neck.
I will yank the key from around his neck.
Okay.
Roughly, so he can feel it.
Yeah. You do that thing where you jerk, and it's like a because it's a expensive chain, so it doesn't want to break, and it really like cuts into the back of his
I'll
neck.
keep yanking until it breaks.
Yeah, and his head kind of like boom, boom, boom onto the ground until finally you get it off. Yeah.
Having too much fun with that.
He goes, I've told you everything you want to know. Please, I had to do it to appease the god.
The dead god.
Well, technically, but not for long. She won't last long down there. It's filled with traps. And that's where we'll end Chafing Armor, episode 96. Thank you both for playing.
Yay!
Thank you.
We all appreciate y'all listening, and we hope you enjoy this special. I like to do these little mini episodes that are side quests with a couple of characters, so we can have a little more fun with each individual character, and we'll be getting more into both of them. And tune in next week for It's a Trap. Good night, everybody.
Sweet dreams.
Good night.
And we will roll with you soon.